Greetings, peace be with you. In this video, I'm going to be revealing to you 5 toxic foods that are destroying your testosterone and killing your masculinity, as that sound in the background was telling you. Boom, 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 right? So we are what we eat, and food is not just nutrition. Food is literally information. And what information are you feeding to the biochemical vehicle that is your human body? Okay, very important that we develop an awareness on this, and the intention of this video is to give you an awareness of what foods are not serving you, right? There are so many different diets out there. Eagle agrees with me. There's so many different diets out there, right? There's so many different nutrition plans. There's so many different people saying so many different things, but at the end of the day, they are all varying in their opinions about what the healthiest way to eat is, but they are all having the same opinion on what foods are actually not doing you any good, right? And that is the intention of this video, to reveal to you what those foods exactly are. Okay, now the first of these foods is that of sugar, right? Refined sugar is what I'm referring to over here. I talk about this in a lot of videos, but I think that the introduction and the mass scale and the fact that the average sugar consumption in the US has elevated by more than 3,000% in the last 100 years, I do not think it's a coincidence, okay? And the fact that sugar actually feeds cancer cells, and the fact that sugar raises your insulin and causes you to be diabetic to the point where you begin needing meds from Big Pharma, I do not think that that's a coincidence. The fact that sugar is more addictive than cocaine, that's literally true on rats that were addicted to cocaine and offered sugar. They switched over to sugar, right? They're doing studies on this. And the fact that we are feeding it to our kids, like I look at my sisters feeding it to their little kids, their nephews and nieces, and it's not my place to say anything because they're the parents, but at the end of the day, it is about awareness on these different factors. And the fact is that cause and effect are distance over time. Like, you might eat sugar today, it doesn't do anything. You might eat sugar tomorrow, it doesn't do anything, but it builds up and eventually it compounds to the point where you become hooked on sugar. I definitely was for a long time. I used to binge on Ben and Jerry's ice cream and brownies and cookies, and I could eat so much. But at the end of the day, eating sugar is not the optimal fuel for your body. In fact, it is the most suboptimal fuel for your body that makes you uneasy, that makes you have dis-ease in the body, which eventually leads to disease at the end of the day. Okay, so say no to refined sugar. I know it's easier said than done. I had a lifelong addiction to sugar, but I've been off it for the last 3 months and my life has been transformed. Okay, I definitely encourage that you attempt to do the same thing. Now, the second toxic food that is killing your testosterone is refined grains, and grains in general, okay? Because other than the fact that they contain gluten, and even though most people are not gluten allergic, right? Some people have gluten allergies, they can't even eat gluten, but most people are actually gluten insensitive, right? Gluten has this enzyme called zonulin, which loosens up the tight junctions in your gut, in your small intestine. So what that means is that when the tight junctions are loosened up, then the food particles can go and they can seep into other parts of your body as well. They can seep into through the blood-brain barrier, okay? Which means that they end up causing inflammation at the end of the day. And inflammation is at the root cause of every chronic disease that we see in our society today. Inflammation is the reason that you feel brain fog, is the reason that you feel tired, is the reason that you feel that you are not being able to express yourself most optimally, is because of inflammation, which is holding your body back from thriving, right? Because it's stuck in survival. Your body's in inflammation because it's in chronic inflammation because of these foods, which end up being a trigger for the immune system to activate. And when the immune system is activated over longer periods of time is when the immune system is chronically activated, whereby it begins attacking its own cells, and eventually that leads to the point where it's not a beautiful setting at the end of the day. Okay, so refined grains as well, keep an eye out for them. And again, just want to emphasize that everything I share in this video is not medical advice. It's not right or wrong, it's not good or bad. It is just an expression of my experience, of my research, of my experimentation. So take what is useful, discard what is not, add what is uniquely your own, as the great Bruce Lee would say. But like I said, I'm just sharing my awareness on this stuff, and Hopefully you can implement it. Hopefully you can do your own research and enlighten me as well eventually, okay? But just understand that first and foremost, and not only my videos, but everything, okay? Just felt the compulsion to say that right now, right? Now, the third toxic food that's killing your testosterone, your health, your vitality, your masculinity is refined vegetable oils, okay? I was reading that I think close to 60 to 70% of the caloric consumption in the United States comes from soybean oil alone. Okay, and soy has its own damaging effects I'll be telling you about later. But these refined oils, which are soybean oil, canola oil, safflower oil, sunflower oil, any of these vegetable oils, even though they have the word vegetable in them, does not mean they're healthy, right? On the contrary, if you can switch out vegetable oils, which are man-made, which are refined, which are causing inflammation in your body because they have an omega-6 to omega-3 ratio that is completely out of whack, okay? Omega-3s are anti-inflammatories, omega-6s are inflammatories, and it is no coincidence, again, that the average refined oil has like a 20-to-1 ratio of omega-6s to omega-3s causing inflammation, which is the root cause of all of these things. Okay, I do not think anything is a coincidence. It's just we call the things a coincidence which are unable to identify the cause from the effect, but every effect has a cause, and increasing our awareness is when we can get clear on the root cause at the end of the day, right? So refined oils not doing you any good, man. All right, so definitely watch out for them. So the next two are a bit controversial. I said at the beginning of this video that everyone agrees on these facts not everyone agrees on, but the last two foods are soy and flaxseed. Okay, now I'll share with you why I included them on this list. So there was a study done by these researchers in Canada. Okay, I'll link out to the study below if you want. And they actually took out like more than 200 different commonly eaten food items from a grocery store, and they analyzed them for xenoestrogen content. Okay, xenoestrogens are plant hormones, xenoestrogens or phytoestrogens is what I mean. Xenoestrogens are man-made. Okay, phytoestrogens are plant estrogens. They are hormones from plants which structurally resemble that of insulin, and therefore are able to attach to the estrogen receptors in our body. Okay, and the two most phytoestrogen rich foods on the planet based on that study were soy and flaxseed. Okay, now soy has a lot of contrary views on it because like in the East, as these dogs are like, yo, I love soy, what are you trying to say, right? In the East, in the Far East, they used to eat a lot of soy, but understand that the soy that was eaten in ancient cultures of Japan and China is very different from the GMO. Okay, Soy Joy, they're the company which basically creates so much soy, and it's put in animal feed, it's put in basically every food. These soy emulsifiers, they put them everywhere. And again, I do not think that's a coincidence that soy is in a lot of our foods, and not only soy but genetically modified soy, because it ends up having feminizing effects on the body, and feminine men are easier to control at the end of the day. So this is a game of control. I'll be making another video on that as well, diving deep into these conspiracies in my videos. I love it, right? My family's like, yo, you're always talking about conspiracies. I'm like, do you even know what a conspiracy is? Right? And they're like, I don't know what it means, right? I'll share that in a different video. But soy is very high in phytoestrogen content. Okay, it also contains something known as equal, which has been shown to lower sperm counts. So again, none of this is a coincidence. This is all manufactured agenda to destroy masculinity, but we are developing our awareness and we are taking that power back by only feeding the body temple foods that support it rather than hinder it. Okay, and the same thing with flaxseed. Now it has a lot of phytoestrogens, right? It has, just like soy has isoflavones, which are the phytoestrogen, and it has equal, which lowers sperm. Flaxseed actually contains something known as lignans. Okay, and lignans are also plant estrogens, and they also structurally resemble an estrogen. Now there have been no long-term studies on the effects of flaxseed on testosterone levels. The only few studies that I actually found were, one of them was on a woman who was experiencing hereticism, right? She was experiencing hair growth, male pattern hair growth, which is a result of high testosterone, and by eating flaxseed she was able to actually halve her testosterone levels, right? So that was in a woman. And then another study that I found was actually performed in was it a study? Actually, it was an individual, right? And an individual, he was a university student, and he was writing his own blog, and he said that he measured his testosterone because he was eating like 200 grams of flax a day because he thought it was healthy. And then when he stopped, his testosterone level close to doubled. So again, that's just an anecdotal study. That's not a research meta-analysis study, which is what I would actually base my conclusions on. But the fact that flax actually contains so many lignans, which are a plant estrogen, is enough for me to avoid it at all costs. But flaxseed also contains omega-3s. It also contains healthy fatty acids, right? And it's a rich source of fiber. So I wouldn't completely discount it, but just do your own research around this stuff, experiment and see what works for you and what does not work for you. All right. So with that, I hope you got value from this video. Leave a comment below letting me know the one food that you're eliminating from your diet right now. Make a commitment and I'll hold you accountable to it in any way that I can. All right. Because it is in our moments of decision that our destiny is shaped, as Tony Robbins said. And in one decision can change the trajectory of your entire life. Okay, so I hope that you got value from this video. Subscribe if you haven't already, like the video if you want, and I will see you in the next video. Much love to you. Take care.